Hello, it's Mr. Marlowe again for part 2 of solving absolute value equations. I got cut off. There's a max time limit. I knew I wasn't going to finish, so I had to pause the video there. So, recapping our steps here. So, our first step is to get absolute values by itself, get them alone. And then we set up one problem with a positive answer, one problem with a negative answer. We're going to solve each equation, and then we're going to graph. Okay, so sometimes we have to do all those steps, sometimes we don't. Here you'll see when we look at these problems down at the bottom, they look a lot more complicated because both of them have absolute value bars, but we're going to still follow those same steps. So step 1, get the absolute value bars by themselves. Great, they're already by themselves. Absolute value of 20x equals the absolute value of 4x plus 16. So don't got to do step 1. Step 2, we're going to write it with positive answers just like how it is. So 20x equals 4x plus 16. Just like how it's written. Okay. Step 3, write it with a negative answer. So here we kind of have a choice. We need to either make the left side all negative or the right side all negative. Since this left side only has one thing on there, I'm going to end up making the left side negative just because I think it's easier that way. You could make the right side negative and you'll still get the same answer. So I'm going to make it, instead of a positive 20x, I'm going to make it a negative 20x. And remember, we only need to do it to one side, so the right side is still going to stay 4x plus 16. Okay, there's my two equations, and now I just solved like a normal problem. It's a plus 16, so I'm going to minus 6. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to do that. Undo. It's a plus 4x, so I'm going to minus 4x. So I end up with 16x equals 16. Divide both sides by 16. Divide both sides by 16. X equals 1. Then over here on the negative problem, the blue problem, I'm going to do the same thing. It's a positive 4x. So I'm going to subtract 4x. I have negative 24x now equals 16. Now when I divide by negative 24, we're going to get a fraction. So x equals 16 divided by 24 can be simplified as negative 2/3. So now I have x equals negative 2/3 and x equals 1 as my two answers there. All right, I'm going to erase this stuff so I have a little more room to do the next question. Erase this stuff too so I don't run out of room. All right, so if I look at number 7, remember, same thing. I need to rewrite it with a positive one, just how it is. So p plus 4 equals p minus 2. So no changes there. And then we need to make one of the answers negative. Okay, I'm going to do this right one, even though it's a little harder, but I want to show you kind of a trick there. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite p plus 4. And now I need to make the whole right side negative. So I'm going to multiply the whole right side by negative 1. So negative 1 times p is negative 1p. Negative 1 times negative 2 is a positive 2. So kind of a little trick there, because this was a negative 2, it now turns into a positive 2. This was a positive p, it turns into a negative p. Okay, so kind of a little trick there. Okay, here, let's get our p's together. Subtract p, subtract p. Uh-oh, p's are canceled. 0p, 0p. I end up with 4 equaling negative 2. Well, that's not true. So this part of the equation is going to be no solution. That's not possible. 4 does not equal negative 2. Let's see if the same thing happens over here. So it's a minus 1p. So I'm going to add 1p to both sides. 1p and 1p gives us 2p plus 4 equals 2. Okay, then it's a plus 4, so I'm going to end up minusing 4. Minusing 4. 2p equals 2 minus 4 is negative 2. That's a 2 times p. So I'm going to divide. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So now this is one where it only really has one answer here, because the first answer was a no solution. And our one answer here is p equals negative 1. Okay, this is hard as it gets for the problems, but really as long as we're following these steps of getting the absolute value bars by themselves, setting up one problem with a positive answer, setting up one problem with a negative answer, and then solving each equation, then we should be good to go for this section.